Okay guys, I wanted to show you, I'm having a problem with my 35 kilowatt generator, and the problem is it's only on on idle, and the problem is it's a very rough idle. So what happens is it starts up and it runs really rough, and I'll talk to you about it, but first let me show it to you. Maybe you guys have an idea about what the problem could be, and then I'll tell you how I'm going about it, and maybe we can work together and you can help me with it. Okay? So I'll play that part of the video now. So you can see from the video that it's running really rough on idle, and the thing about it is it's interesting. It's when it starts up, it's very rough, and I think it's when it's cold that's the problem. It starts up, runs very rough, and then if I shut it off and then I turn it back on, it runs beautifully. Idles beautifully. Under load, it always idles beautifully. So that's the problem. It's just that initial startup. It's not all the time, and basically I had noticed from the beginning that it always sounded like it was missing, like something was like off, but I thought that's just like maybe the idle. But over time it just got really worse, and now it's really shaking. So I don't know what it is now, because it corrects itself when I shut it off and turn it back on. I tend to think that it's nothing mechanical, but that it's something digital or something like that, like some sensor or something. So I thought I would change a few things, and maybe that'll make a difference. So a couple of things came up, and look, I'm not an engine expert, so I guess what I tend to do is I tend to replace things I can replace, and to try to diagnose it that way. Now the generator does have a computer, but it doesn't use a standard like a car OBD2 system. So it uses its own device. I would need to spend about $500 to get that computer to read it. I really don't want to spend that for this. It just doesn't seem to be worth it. So I'm going to replace some things and see if that corrects it. I actually did replace something, which I'll show you, but I haven't even tested it yet. I want to replace a few things, and then we'll check it out. So like I said, I don't think it's anything mechanical, because it does, when I shut it off and start it back up, it runs beautifully. Idles very nicely. So on one hand, I did want to take a look at the spark plugs. I thought maybe it could be one of the sensors. I'm not completely sure. So I got a few things here, and I'll show you what I have and what I've done so far. Now, let me bring you in, and I'll show you what we've done. So, okay. So, sorry about that. So the first thing is, I think there are two sensors in the generator. Probably in most engines it's the same thing. And I'm not an expert, but there's one sensor in the exhaust, and that's an oxygen reader. And then there's another sensor, I think, in the intake manifold, which measures, I'm not completely sure, but air going in, and so it can adjust the mixture between the two. Now that one in the intake is very difficult to reach, and it's beyond my abilities to reach it. So I just want to show you a couple of things. First of all, the oxygen sensor in the exhaust and is this. So I got the Briggs and Stratton part because I wasn't sure completely what the part number was, and it was just like $5–10 more just to make sure I got it. I was able to read the part number, and I put it on the original video about this generator where I have all the parts and the text, so you don't have to buy from Briggs. And basically I thought maybe I had damaged this because I'd once run the generator with the doors open and the exhaust was on, became red hot around it. I'm not sure. I'll give you a look at it, and basically a few things. First of all, I did remove this, and the way to remove it, just so you know, is you don't want to do anything that reaches it like this, that doesn't go all the way around, because this thing is jammed in tight. Okay, and so you want to get the wrench. The wrench I got is 7/8. I bought it specifically for this. I couldn't find anyone who had it. But in any event, 7/8. And the way to do it is you go from this side. You disconnect it from the computer. You disconnect these clips. And this pops out. And then once it pops out, you can feed this around. See? And then it goes all the way around. Then you go and it fits right over this. Now, you don't want to be lazy. Trust me, do it this way. If you don't do it this way and you try to do it with any other kind of wrench or anything else, what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of problems. Let me just put this back. Okay, so for instance, if you do something like this, I don't know if that's good enough. I don't think that's, you may strip it, and you really don't want to strip it. Okay, so you want to get that full thing. See, maybe if I took off the plastic, but you want it all the way around so you could really grip it and break it. Well, you know, get it off. So the thing is this, you also don't want to use any kind of oil, anything that could affect, because these sensors are very sensitive, and if you have any kind of, like, if you use like an oil or definitely a silicone spray, it's going to destroy your new sensor. And as you'll take it, you'll get this off, you put the new one in, the residue is going to go on there and it'll destroy the sensor. So please don't do anything. I did put some anti-seize on there, so I wasn't sure if this is damaged. I'll just give you a look at it. Maybe you guys can make sense of it. I just want you to see it. I don't know if that looks bad or it's good or that's the way it should look, but I'm not even sure if that's the problem, but I did change it. So a couple of things, and let me just organize this. Okay, that should be better. So this is the part, and I took it off. It wasn't that difficult, I think. So that's the one thing. I haven't tested it yet to see if that's the problem, but I just wanted to change a few more things first. And as far as the first sensor, what I got is I got this mass airflow sensor cleaner, and I thought I'd spray this in, and it's made especially for these sensors, not to damage them, and this will clean off the one in the manifold. Maybe that one got dirty or something something's affecting it, so I thought if I spray it, it'll clean it off, and it'll hit the other sensor as well. The other thing I want to do is I want to just check out the spark plugs. Now, spark plugs, it is possible that that's why it's missing or not firing, or that's why it's running so rough. So I thought I'd take out the spark plugs, check the gapping on it. Maybe there's some quality control issue. But so once I did that, I said, you know what, let me just, in the meantime, get new spark plugs. Maybe I'll just replace the spark plugs while I'm at it. And then once I'm at it, I decided to get, even though I like to keep it OEM, I did go and get replacement spark plugs. I actually called Champion and I spoke to them, and they told me the equivalent of their equivalent, it was their equivalent of the AC Delco plugs, and they said it's the Champion 9204. So I got these Iridium plugs, and hopefully they're real, because there's so many fake plugs. I bought them on eBay for like $14. So, but I will tell you, they do seem real from what I can see. What do you say? Looks nice. Let's see. So once I'm changing them, I figured I'll put in Iridium plugs. They'll last probably the life of the engine. I'll never have to replace it again. Okay, so I bought 4 of them, and what I'll do is I'm gonna gap them, and the original gap is like, I think it's 0.035. I think because it's iridium, I can go a little wider than that, maybe 0.040. Maybe because it's natural gas, it'll help it ignite a little better. So we'll see. And then I'll pull out the plugs, and looks pretty original, pretty real. I'll pull out the plugs and see if that's the issue, and then I'll start it up. I'm not sure what else the problem is, but if you have any ideas as to what the problem could be, just tell me what you think, and we'll pull it out. And just to do so, you got to have something like this, your spark plug remover, and I'll use the blades, and we'll gap them. Okay, see you soon. So we're at the generator, and I want to show you what I did so far, what I'm going to do now. So the first thing I did when without you guys is I replaced the sensors. I showed you before. This is where it goes in here, and it's very difficult to remove. So I basically it clips in here. That's what I showed you before. I unclip this big black piece, unclips, then you unclip these two clips, pull it down, and then put the ratchet over it onto there, and then remove it. That's the only way you're going to get this off. And again, do not use any sprays or anything. Just get it off. It comes with a little bit of anti-seize. You could put a little bit on more just to make sure it's around, and then put it back, and then don't play around with it. Okay, the next thing I want to do is up here where the control valve is. I think that's what it's called. I wanted to spray in a little airflow cleaner. There's a lot of pollen here, a ton from the trees. I mean, a ton. There's piles of it. So maybe that's what's affecting it. And I thought we would just take this off and see what's going on in there. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can make some progress with that. Just hold on, guys. Okay, so I was able to get the clip off. It really stuck. Okay, and I thought we would just clean it out a little bit with this spray. And let's take a shot at it. Okay, should clear everything off. It should dry pretty quickly. That's what it says. So we'll leave it. Yeah, you can see it. Alright, so I can see the vapors coming out. So let's leave that. And let's take a look at the spark plugs on the other side. Alright, so looking at this side of the engine, it's probably a good idea to document which spark plug goes to which. So the first one on the right is this one up here. That's the first one. Second one is this. It's the one furthest out. Third one from the right goes to this one up front. And the fourth one goes to this one. Okay, so I'm just doing that just in case I mess things up, but I am careful, and we're only going to remove one at a time. That's the best way. If you don't know what you're doing, just do it once at a time, and then just videotape it. So let's take a look. Let me see if I can. It's just very closed here. Let's see. So So hopefully you can see, we're starting up with the top one. I'm just going to pull that off. And let's take it out. It's interesting. It has like a, see how tight it is. Oh my gosh. Let's take it out and take a look at that. So, they really factory tighten stuff. Okay, so look at this spark plug. It has like a pink tip. Maybe they do that on purpose. Maybe that's AC Delco, I'm not sure. It's R44 LTS. That's interesting. It's either, I think, the R42 or R44. They're similar, but that's the spark plug. Can you see that? The tech told me it was R42. But what's interesting is, let's look at the gapping. Here's my gap. Okay, so if you look at the gapping of this plug, let me just see. The gap is teeny, not within spec. It's a 0.023. It should be a 0.035, or for these 4.0. That's very small. Let's compare it to the Iridium plug. Now, I got the Iridium plug here, and it's always a good idea to compare them just to make sure that they're the same. Okay. So you can see the difference? So they look the same size, doesn't go into the cylinder more much, same exact, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, my camera's burning from the light. Okay. All right. So I'm comfortable putting this in. I put the anti-seize on it. Spark plug looks like it's in good shape. It's a little rusted. So the way I do it is I put it in, and I actually kind of push it in, but loosen it. Let me see, and then you'll feel it. It'll catch. Let's see. Can you see that? Sorry, you lost me. It's a little tight. So I put it in, I loosen it. Usually you could feel it, and then you hand tighten it. Always hand tighten. Hold on. Okay, you feel it go in. And then hand tighten it, until it's tight. It's set on the box, like do it 1/16 of a tighten, which is not that much. All right, so got that. That's my ratchet. Looks nice. Okay, so it's tight. I'm just going to give it a little. I think that's 1/16. And then immediately put the wire back on. Otherwise, you'll get confused. And confusion is the enemy. I think that's good. Okay. And we'll do the next one. Pull it out. I don't know why it had such a small gap. Aren't they gapping these properly? Hold on. Okay, so we got the other one. Good news is it looks good. Gap is very small. I could tell it's like a 0.020. See it? That's not good. I don't know if it makes such a difference, but I just would hope for a little more quality control. And we'll save these plugs. They're good. Keep them as a backup. If it runs well on this Iridium, I'm fine with that. Put it in. Okay, once it's in, just feel it. Okay, it stopped. Put it on. Alright, that's it. You don't have to kill it. It's not going to fly out. Okay, now the other two. I'd like to get you a good shot of it. Alright, so go on to number 3. I know it's maybe difficult to see, but as much as you can. This one, you need an extension on. That's good. That's a better torque. Not that tight. Okay. Again, very small gap. Plug looks good, but just gap that's very small. I don't know why. I don't know why they can't gap it right. Alright, this one, let's see. Just always start with your hands. You'll feel it. It'll go in right. Okay. Then you put this on. Okay, once it's tight, just 1/16. That's it. Okay, let's get the wire back on. And these plugs should last the life of the engine. Okay, last one. Okay. Oh. Okay, same deal, good condition but a small gap. All right, last plug. That's what the proper gap looks like. Okay, let's get this in. That's the main thing. If you do it by hand, you're not going to cross thread it. And you can put this on to that by hand. Oh, sorry, that's the AC. Hold on. Okay, shut off the AC. Let's see, it was the ratchet. Okay. That's it. Okay. Now let's go check out the other side. So for this, basically, actually you could see inside. Let me get you a good... I think you can see more than I can, but it's like a choke. It's open a little bit. We just have to get this back on. It looks pretty clean in there. Okay, now let's get this here. And we'll tighten this up. Let me see how. More air conditioning. It's whatever. All right. I think that's good. It's a little high, but maybe I'll play with it. Okay, so that's on tight. I think now the only question is, does it run? Let's check that. I really gotta clean this out next time. Gotta do the oil change, and the battery's old also. I think it's like 6 years old already. Yeah, October 2015. See that? So, you know, you really want this to be, it's a backup generator, so you don't want to rely on the battery unless it's, you know, it's good. So, I'll have to replace that maybe August. But you've seen those videos of me putting it in, so. All right, let's go see what we got. Okay, actually, take a video of it here. Shut off the generator. Off. And then let's put it in manual. maybe it's the plugs. I don't know. Let's try to start it. I took out one plug. Let's see if there's a spark. Manual. All right, I see a spark. Oh, let's try it again. Okay. It's working. Okay, so we'll take a break for a minute. It's cranking, it's not starting, and I'd like to prime the engine. So I'm going to prime it with something, and it's a little, did this off camera. I put in a little bit of gasoline, and I don't want to use any kind of spray because the O2 sensor is very sensitive. We could ruin it. So I think the safe thing to do is to put some gasoline in there. So I just put a drop in the first cylinder on the right, put the spark plug back in, and I bang those gas valves because sometimes if the generator wasn't used in a couple of months, they can stick. So I'll do that, and then we'll try to start it again. Okay, so just to give you a recap of what happened, what I didn't do right or whatnot, it's basically this. As you saw, I had difficulty. We replaced the spark plugs. Let me take a step back. Basically, we had not, the generator had not run for about 3 or 4 months. I had gotten rid of the exercise mode because it was running, as you saw, very rough. So what I did was I replaced a few things just to go back. It was the oxygen sensor was replaced. We sprayed down the I guess like what you would call the carburetor, or that valve, that spray to clean it out. As you saw, there's a ton of pollen there, so that was a second possibility. Third possibility was something with the spark plugs, and you did see that they were gapped incorrectly. I'm not sure if that would make such a difference, 20 versus a 40 gap. You'll know better. And at that point, you saw it was cranking, but it didn't start. So I took out the spark plug, and I was getting an ignition. I did get a spark, so I was thinking it's a fuel issue, but at one point I did smell a little fuel, so I wasn't sure. And then what I did off camera was, when it didn't start, I went out, I wanted to basically prime the engine, put some fuel in there, and you have to be very careful. Like years ago, I'd use WD-40 or some kind of starter fluid, and the problem is when you have these sensors in this engine, you really have to be careful, because if you spray anything with silicone in it, it's toast. Especially the exhaust one, that brand new one would just get destroyed. So I'm not sure about the one in the manifold, but basically you want to be very careful. So off camera, I put in a little bit of gasoline into the cylinder on the right. That was the easiest one to reach. I put the spark plug back in, and then I took, this is what did it, I took a screwdriver and I just banged the gas valves, because those gas valves have a tendency of getting stuck after not being used. And then you saw I restarted it, and it worked, and it seems to be running very well. So I think one of those things, fixed it. So one thing you learn from this, first of all, is don't do what I did. Just, you're better off doing one step at a time. In other words, changing the just the sensor, the O2 sensor, and then starting it, see if that does it. Then doing the next thing, spraying it, making sure it starts, and then you can do the spark plugs. Because if you do it one step at a time, you know when you're getting in trouble. If it doesn't work, you know what did it, you can undo it. I mean, I was getting close to putting the original spark plugs in, but that didn't make sense to me. So in any event, it seems to be working, and I'm happy about that. So I'll keep you updated on it. The next step is just to change the battery, change the oil in August, and I just tell you, if you have any further interest in this generator or this engine, you can look at my prior videos. I have a whole series of videos on this. Just look through my videos through the other topics. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for viewing. And just keep it up. Keep up the good work.